Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another Battle to the Death for you. And today we have a bit of a unique one. Normally on this channel, I review more modern folders. These two are definitely not modern. We have the Opinel number 8 versus the Antonini Old Bear in the medium size. Both of these are in the stainless steel versions. The Opinel you can get in other versions. We'll get to that more in a moment. Both really cool knives, both pretty inexpensive. On this number 8 size, you're looking at somewhere between 15, 20, maybe 25 for some of the more expensive versions. I think maybe I've seen a couple Opinel number 8s for 30. And I think they had a black version that was much more expensive than that, but that was a very limited edition. On the Old Bear medium, you're looking at somewhere between 20, 25 bucks. Both pretty inexpensive. Both what you fall into this category called what peasant knives is basically what they call them over in Europe. What that means, most peasant knives are primarily wood construction. Some have simple locking mechanisms like these do, but a vast majority are friction folders of some sort, and they're usually extremely inexpensive. Especially in the case of the Opinel. And the Opinel does come in a lot more different versions. We'll just get that out of the way right off the bat. This is number 8 of 12. And as I said, you can get it in a carbon steel. So there's 12 sizes of them. I have several. This is the red-handled version. It is the birch wood, but normally you find it in these natural birch wood. What you think of an Opinel, you think of this color. But the only number 8 I have in that birch wood was chewed up by my dog, by my late great dog. So that one has a reshaped handle and lives in a junk drawer somewhere in my house. Most knife guys have an Opinel. I mean, it's just or 5. It's just kind of one of those things when you're a knife guy. You just get one. They're cheap. It's something that everybody should experience. They're just super cool. And yeah, as I said, they cost nothing. They're super awesome, great slicers. I have a number 10, which is a much larger than this, with a corkscrew also built into it. And it's probably one of my favorite kitchen knives. It just lives in my kitchen drawer, and I use it all the damn time. And I use the corkscrew also. I use both sides of it all the time. It's just Opinel makes some amazing knives and some really quirky, cool ones. You can even get one I saw that you can get a number 8 that's meant specifically for harvesting mushrooms, and it's got like a curved blade and a brush on the back of it for brushing dirt off of your mushrooms that you go out and collect in the French woods. Pretty cool. This is a French design. Obviously, it says France. Antonini, as the name would indicate, is Italian. Not as many versions of this, just your small, medium, large, extra large. Primarily, you're going to see this maple-handled version. There is an olive wood version I have seen here and there, but I've never seen one with carbon steel. I've only seen them with this stainless, which in this case is 420. You got 12C27 on the Opinel is what they use for stainless. When it says inox, that just means stainless steel, so you kind of got to research and find out what it is. But that's what the steels are. So fewer versions of the Old Bear, but they make other models. Antonini does. They make like a slip joint and stuff like that, where most Opinels now are pretty much based on this general kind of handle configuration anyway. Lots of different blades. They make saws. They make all kinds of stuff. Have I made that point clear yet? They make lots of them. This red one is a bit rare. Normally when you see the red, it's in the Trekker version. It has a hole drilled through it. It has a little leather loop on it. I just picked this up at REI. They don't have it anymore. I don't know if that was an REI exclusive or something like that. I don't know. But both of these knives, very inexpensive and just cool things to add to your collection. But today we have to pick which one is the best. How do we do that? 7 categories as always. Design and aesthetics, quality, blade, carry, ergonomics, deployment, and value. And at the end, we add up the scores, pick a winner. 1 point for each category you win. Add them up, pick a winner. Let's do some specs before we get too much farther. If I have not said before, Opinel, the slightly older company, both of these have a lot of history. Opinel started in 1890, got 1925 for the Old Bear. On this number 8 version, again, many sizes of the Opinel, but in this number 8 version, because these two compare the closest, you have an overall length of 7.6 inches, blade length of 3.25 inches, blade thickness of 0.065 inches, handle thickness of 0.8 inches, and a weight of 1.8 ounces. Very light because they are primarily made of wood. We have on the Antonini slightly smaller. You have 7.5 inch overall length, 3.1 inch blade length, blade thickness a little thinner at 0.6 about I think I got 0.67 inches. I think I measured it at, and a weight slightly lighter at 1.5 ounces. Now let's get into our scoreable categories here and get this thing going. I knew this was gonna be a problem trying to keep the Opinel facing upright. There we go. There's like nothing flat on this knife, so it just wants to roll over. You have on design and aesthetics. This is definitely the most subjective category. Some people are just going to be like, no, because of all the stuff written on the blade on the Old Bear. Some people I know really hate billboarding. It's much simpler on the Opinel. You just have that stamped. But Opinel puts a lot more on the handle, which I don't really care for stuff written on the handle very much. You can see, especially in this carbon one, you got the carbone big thing on it. All the carbon ones have that. So I'm pretty 50-50 about logos and stuff because there are no other logos. Both of them have completely naked blades on the other side. What I like most on the Antonini is I like this little dog on that brass collar, the lupo and all the numbers and stuff. I think that looks really cool and old worldy. I like the shape of the handle a lot more. The Opinel, this collar doesn't look as nice. And maybe I'm just used to seeing Opinel so much. I'm just going to give not a big win, but a slight win in looks to the Antonini. I think it just looks a lot more classy. I just really like the look of it just that much better. Quality-wise, so I will say, and we'll talk about this more when we get to deployment. I've had 2 Antoninis. I've had a lot of Opinels. The action on, if you can call it action, it's wood on metal. So they're not, neither of these are like great action, amazing knives. They're not meant to be. I had one that was too loose. This one's a little tight. My Opinels have been very, very consistent. So you'd think I would say, okay, Opinel, but no, because when you look at just the way they're finished, especially this angle, that's why I closed them for this. I mean, look at that. In the Opinel, you've got that big gap. You know, the collar's kind of all over the place. Yes, the Antonini looks a bit off center, but so do my other one. I think that's just the way they are. But other than that, it's just so nice, very smooth, no rough edges. When you have them open, this is a little sharp on the Opinel. It isn't at all on the Antonini. Yeah, I gotta say, quality-wise, I gotta say Antonini again. I just think it's that little bit nicer. It is a little bit more expensive, but not enough to matter that much. And I just have to say, the Antonini just seems a bit more high quality. And it's not just this one. I mean, here's another Opinel I've got. You know, this is my number 7 that I love, but you can see it's just that collar's all wonky, and there's another little gap in the wood there. Gotta say Antonini for the quality. All right, blade. You have 12C27, 420. Is there a huge difference between those two? No, not really. I do find the Opinel sharpens a little bit easier. I have not sharpened this one, but I sharpened my old one, and I think this takes a nice finer edge quicker. The 420 on this, I don't know if it's a heat treat thing or whatever, and it's also kind of a convexy sort of grind. But the real difference is the Opinel is 8 thousandths behind the edge versus 17 thousandths behind the edge. Both very thin blade stock, both very, very slicey, but the Opinel just that much more. And with these knives, you're not going to be doing heavy duty stuff, so who gives a crap about piercing and all that stuff? All that matters is how well it slices, and the Opinel slices better, so pretty easy win. Like I said, both slice really well, but still pretty easy win for the Opinel as far as the blade goes. Carry. This one was a bit weird. I'm not going to bring out ye old Wranglers because neither of these have pocket clips, and that would just be kind of silly. They both just kind of drop in the bottom of your pocket. Yes, the Antonini has the little tab sticking out. Didn't really find it to be that big of a problem. Hardly even noticed it in my pocket as far as pulling it out. I didn't feel it catching on anything. Maybe once or twice, a tiny little bit, but not a big deal. The Opinel is a much thicker handle. I noticed that more than I noticed the little tab. This is a bit lighter. Does that really matter? No. But I gotta give the ever so slightest carry win to the Antonini. Neither of these have pocket clips, so it's really this is a category that doesn't matter that much because they both carry kind of the same. They both kind of drop in the bottom of your pocket, and they are what they are. I have seen tutorials on even like what pocket clips to buy. This is wood. Both these are wood. You could drill and just install a pocket clip. I have seen a couple of tutorials. I couldn't find them at the time I went to go do this video, but about what pocket clips to buy and to install on the Opinel. You could do the same on the Old Bear. I think it would probably even be easier because this has an actual flat surface here. There are no flat surfaces on the Opinel whatsoever. It'd probably even be easier on the Old Bear to put a pocket clip on it. But yeah, carry ever so slightly to the Antonini. Ergonomics. This is also one of those ever so slightly things. I really like how well the Opinel fills the hand. I think that's great. But this fills the hand pretty darn good too. It's still a pretty thick handle. And I just feel more secure using the Antonini. I think part of it is that on the blade, you've got, you know, a chunk here where before you hit sharpened edge. Not so much on the Opinel. So that's to keep in mind. By the way, I didn't mention that in the blade section because both are equally hard. You can't quite get to that when you're sharpening it on the Opinel, and then this is blocked off on the. So neither of them have sharpening choils that are properly usable or anything like that. So that's why I didn't really bring that up. But anyway, yeah, I just feel more safe and secure using the Antonini, and it does fit my hand just ever so slightly better than what the Opinel does. So for ergonomics, for my hands, I have to go with the Antonini. Deployment, as I said, does it matter on these that much? I mean, they're not going to be, you're not flicking them out, they're not fidget toys. But the Antonini has been, as I said, I've had two and they were inconsistent. Like I said, this one is a little tight, it's breaking in, and it may wind up being fine. I do like this lock ring much better. I like the one-handed. I think that's really cool. But you can one-hand the Opinel also. I think this just works a little bit better, makes it a little bit easier. But I will say I've had lots of Opinels, and they've all been pretty consistent. They've all been about the same. They're all about the same amount of effort, and you can still close this lock ring one-handed. If I didn't show how that works on either of these, yeah, they are very simple lock mechanisms. As you just rotate, you can see where it grabs there. And the Antonini, you have this little metal bar that goes through. I think I kind of feel like this might be a bit stronger, but I don't know. But I still got to give the win to the Opinel just because it doesn't really matter that much on these, and my Opinels have been more consistent. So got to give a win on the Opinel for deployment. Value. They both kind of do the same thing. They're both in that same peasant category. Opinel's a much larger company. They can offer things at cheaper prices. I gotta say Opinel for value. I think the Antonini has a bit of a cool factor more than the Opinel does. I think the Opinel has a cool factor to non-knife people, but I think to us knife guys, we've all got a few of them. It doesn't have much cool factor, but still, it's just a little bit cheaper. And gotta give a win to the Opinel in value. And just your choices you get, all that kind of stuff. Antonini, it's kind of like, you want one that looks like this? Okay, cool. And where Opinel has a bit, more colors, and you can see this is a red one. I really want a purple one. They made a purple number 7, and I can't find them anywhere. I'd love to have a purple carbone number 7 if somebody finds one of those. But yeah, slight win for value to the Opinel. It's not a big dramatic thing. I think just by choice and that's slightly cheaper, you got to give it to the Opinel. So where does that leave us? Score-wise, 4-3 win for the Antonini, and that's how I feel. I do like the Antonini slightly more than the Opinel when the sizes are equal. You have more choices in the Opinel, so there are definitely other sizes of the Opinel that I like more because I can't get them in that size in the Antonini. But I will say, buy them both. If you're a real knife nerd and you want to just have some of these cool peasant knives around, I think these are the two best. And I'm kind of a fan of these. I've had a lot of experience with Portuguese ones, the Martins and stuff like that. But these are the best. These are really, really good. Both of them are very inexpensive, and they're just a cool thing to have in your collection. And it cool thing just to use. I use the heck out of my Opinels. I used this one a fair bit. My previous one I broke because I was stupid and it was my fault, and I'm not even going to get into that because it breaks my heart. But now I have a new one, so I will use this more. This red one lives in my camping gear. And then, you know, like I said, I've got one in the kitchen. I've got them in junk drawers, all that stuff. And Antoninis, I could see myself having more of them. Especially, I just wish they made more sizes. That's really the only downside to the Antonini. But, yeah, on paper, win to the Antonini, and I do agree with that. That's the one that I like the most. But, yeah, get them both. They're cool. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. I've been Brian. Have a good one.